Woo.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Master
It's
Bus.
the Master Bus.
One more time.
It's the Master Bus.
Yes.
With Steve Keys and Benon
Mugumbya.
Mugumbya. We got a special guest in the building, ladies and gentlemen.
This man,
he needs no introduction.
I'm telling you.
Now, yeah. Unfortunately, he got to do the challenge.
Let's go.
Mr. Kasozi. I'm sure you've seen the intro of our shows. So every time we play our intro, you gotta come with some buzz or some vocals or some freestyle. Abachitandikawo bali baloya. Bakikuba nnyo omusajja yakuba freestyle wagamba ha. Lawyer naye kakati.
Hey.
We know you got this. Kanso kenkaze nayo katini.
This is what he does.
Hey.
Yeah.
Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Cuz? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Cuz?
Just about.
1, 2, 3.
Let's go.
I'm here with Mr. Benon Mugumbya. Steve Keys. Right at Swans Avenue. Down the square. Babbling with
we at the square. It's not the Madison Square, but it's still the square. We at the avenue, chilling. Everything brand new. Hey. Nenda ochayenza n'okuyimba osebo.
It's the square, yo. We're gonna Master Bus. We're gonna do it back on the Master Bus podcast. Giving with Steve Keys and Benon Mugumbya. Locking on the Master Bus.
Rocking on the microphone.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Mr. Kasozi. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen who are listening in, watching on YouTube. Tonight we have the special guest. All our guests are special. But this
Oh no,
day, professor, teacher, musician, maestro extraordinaire.
Actually, for this guy, woboyagala kumanya is the kind you don't ask. How many instruments do you play? How many instruments don't you play? To make life easier for you.
Mr. Kaz, nice to have you.
Nice to be here.
Yeah, it's quite an honor and a blessing to be in your presence, Sebo. Ate omusajja ali humble naye maama ebintu byakuba byamanyi
byeyogerera
oba okikola otya?
Nfuba, I just put in the time.
How do you manage to be cool and easy? I've been to a lot of your gigs. Normally, Kuba, there's a gig you played the keyboard inverted. Actually, on stage you like you embody a different character.
Bajaja.
Although we are to ku roast and rhyme. A pleasure to have you, Sebo.
It's a pleasure to be here. I'm so glad to be here.
It's been a long time coming. We know you are a very busy man.
We try to be.
Just tell us a
Let
little bit.
Let me ask you a question. What don't we know about you?
There's a lot you don't know, but that which is okay for public consumption would be that the thing you might not know about me is that I'm a trained filmmaker. Yes. Yeah. So that's the bit you might not know about me. And so in a lot of my other avenues of work are in film, but even though people know that I'm doing music in film, but they don't know that actually I'm in filmmaking. because it's not something I've always broadcast, because emirimu emingi sometimes they start to gitandika okukontana. So oluusi ogikola n'ogikolera eyo oluusi with pseudonyms, you either use other names or use my mother's name and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Were you born like everyone else?
No, ayinza okuba.
Do you have siblings? Do you have a family?
Yajja buzinga Terminator.
Yes, I have lots of siblings. My dad was very old school. Don't know whether in a good or bad way, but so I have very, very many siblings. But my immediate siblings on my mother's side, generally been akula nabo say, where there's 6 of us. Yeah, so. And some are here, some are abroad. Yeah.
Are you naturally talented or you studied? Okay, I mean, you can still study even if you're talented, but is most of it studied or it's self-trained?
I think most of the stuff I know is self-trained. And because I've learned from a young age that when you work at something, like really work at something really hard, you actually get results. It's just that they're not immediate. On the other hand, I also have certain talents. We all do. Yeah. And when I work on those talents, like I still have to work hard at those talents, but bivayo manguko kuchintu ekirala kyesiri so talented with. Yeah. But I don't think.
What are you not so talented with?
Bintunga carpentry and stuff like that. Yeah, but I like it also.
Yeah, but carpentry is fun.
Checha kupushinga to self-teach yourself into ebyo, because like I know some people, let's say for some of us ogamba banange kizibu nnyo okufuna studio time, kizibu nnyo kanayigirizeemuko mbere nga I can be able to record a song for myself. Were you in such situations?
I was a middle child, so I used to spend a lot of time with myself.
It's a tough position.
So that's where I used to find my, should I say, peace or like. Also, what motivated?
Actually, that is you've given me a good segue to answer that question. Like as a young kid, given that the family was big, but also African families, even when the core is not big, we live in very small quarters. So so there were always so many things going on, and that are not concerned with what everyone else is dealing with. And so I spent a lot of time like with nature, if you like. But I'm listening to things. I'll be listening to the wind, listening to the birds, and listening to the sounds. So I learned a lot of my musical things that inform my young musicality were learned from listening to sounds and listening to birds. You know, there's a bird, a giranti, cuckoo, 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 it's music. Yeah. Meanwhile, another bird on another tree is going nekagenda it's music, man.
So kwegamba ono omusajja yaba awulira bintu birala nnyo.
So
nze mbeera mpunjiriza mmere nga sisanze mmere zituuka awo birala ne woba okuba nga music asoundinga atya. waliwo Benon ne Julius batali nsonyiwa twali mu studio eyo nga tuwuliriza music esaawa ne ziwera ne mpunyiriza emmere ne bagamba kazo kenkomewo bagala kulanga sidda
omusajja yafuluma sho
teyadda
bagala okuvaayo eri ng'essowaani ngituuse mu kitundu.
I can understand that. I can understand.
That's very interesting.
Well, me and him at least know the vast talent. jo ina naye njagala kumanya childhood yo as in when you were in school era the schools you went to zayamba koko to make sure that you have what you have like in the family who facilitated to make sure that you were the Kasozi we know.
Yeah, I think the schools zayamba but not in the way ntizagala kunyamba because in those times like the kind of like I went to Namyanga as a very in my primary, and I also went to Nakasero primary school. Yeah,
let's go.
Yeah, so and their music programs, if you like, were not vast. The one in Namyanga was a bit more substantial, but
so you knew Mr. Sesang?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. But the thing is catered for older students, and then also I was a very precocious child. I'm not very social, say, and I don't like sigoberera bulungi mateeka nga tegalina reasoning behind it. Kati mbanjagala mmanye why can't I do this? Why are you saying I can't speak Luganda, for example? So I would refuse, for example, to speak because there's this thing they used to make us wear if you speak vernacular, so you have to wear this. I was like, okay, ngenda kwogera Luganda kati. Then and you're supposed to be that wono chambala, you go and find someone else who's speaking the language. Kati then nzisija finding a kati now what? Who are you going to punish? Nzikubanza techinuma, now I can speak Luganda all the time.
Yeah.
And so that kind of attitude put me in certain mukakubaganyo nga sobola now to engage with some of those programs, if you like. Ine dalu muzibu and those kinds of things. And so yes. So I found that I would start to learn more music from kind of like the situations that come up in the school, because like music is conflict and resolution of conflict continuously. Like
tension and release
all the time, even lyrically, but also harmonically. Like
that's really interesting. When you're playing a song, what we call the Josobolo Komako, no muntu atali musical, not feeling anti. Kati tension, like there are certain chords there's rate attention. No muntu atali music about that. No, you need to resolve it. Like what we call the jota kubi, that it's a natural thing.
Actually, go ahead to nyumiza story. Bagay babali bagenza conference, and then some guy was in a room. Playing the sofas nayenga tamalayo no re mi fa no la ti no re mi fa no la ti and then this guy in the next room nakina na konkona ubagula bwati na yadi afa ngaudida agenda kwabika.
So when things are not resolved, there's always like that odd thing, and it's useful, very useful in music. But I found that I was actually in a way studying musical things from, like, I was a very contentious person as a kid. Katinga ubira muntaro taro ngainga zili minor to everyone else, but they are huge to you.
You have to.
And my only my consoling aspect was music in my head. Like kubango ugezako to pacify yourself with musical things going on in your head. Kati wetwaviranga mu bintu nga sagala kugamba bantu abasoma mutemukola wa SST or but when I would be in such useless classes, I would be doing music in my head. I would not be doing some rocks and what. I love rocks, but I love rocks not
okugamba nti baliwo muzungu yakidiscover
byebintu ebyo nga bimpisa bubi oba nti bozimanya speak simanya baker. These were thugs. These were thugs that came, adventurous thugs that came to So yeah, kati so ebintu ebyo I used to find nganjagala to keep as far away from it as possible, and so the music in my head was always like the thing nenga tosobola be articulating so, not on instruments, not in any way, but maybe with your voice.
Do you have any professional papers
as a music? I have some naina zifuna nkuze like, because maybe I'll tell a very small story. Like in some other country away from here, I used to do a lot of, I was a session guy, like
session musician,
doing bass and sometimes keys.
Which country?
England.
Okay.
So nenga to get more of these jobs nga tebiri movie no ntisimanya gundi akumanyi will call you and Joe no, you have to you take your popular or you come and do an audition. So for us who didn't have the populars, you go, you do an audition, someone is impressed with it, so okay, you do the thing, and then you get jobs like that, and another contract comes up like that. So kati nga bagala abantu abasoma the music, because you'll be given the music, so you don't waste time in the stuff. I can't read the stuff, so I would stand outside the audition room, because by auditioning a music yomu nomuwulira noyiga part yawo giyigira wano mu mutwe nolinda omulala owakabi nogiga. After about 3 rounds you're like, okay, ngoyingira nawe ngogira nga naye I'm just lying, I'm looking at the notes. Following and I don't know what is going on, and then I would you do it, and then of course you're not perfect because you're not and they're like, no, stick to the notes, stick to the notes, and so often okay, he's a bit adventurous, but we like him. At one time the guy really wanted me to stay on the notes, like he's like, no, play the notes, you know, start from bagun. I'm like, you know, tebangwamu balowooza era nti I'm just a bit a maverick. So I did get the job, but unlike the other jobs where they would send you like a tape, like they used to send out that tape, so I will see old tapes, these guys sent a big box of like just papers of the music, and I'm like, where's the tape? I'm calling them, where's the tape? I didn't get it. It's like, no, that's the music. And then I had to own up, like, look, I can't read. And the guy was so offended because because the others were saying he's not sticking to the thing, and so they're like, yeah, but he's got a vibe and blah, blah, blah. So until now.
No.
And he was so pissed. So that event made me like, oh, you know what? Let me go and learn a little bit. Sina kubiga kuba wakabinyo. So I started to teach myself about a book actually ngoma, because someone told me like you can start to learn with snare drum reading and no tandikira kwecho, and then you transfer. So that's how I started to teach myself reading music. But even now I'm not like a great reader, but in writing I can write it.
You can notate.
You can notate anything, no problem. Reading it is a bit of a challenge. But
would you say in first of all, how do you get to the UK?
Kwali kangambe kusoma, but not directly like that. It's like my mother just wanted other her children to have some better opportunities. And also 2 other things. My sister was already there, so she was encouraging my mother to do that. That's especially about blah. But more importantly, I would say, like for my mother, like I already told you, I was a very contentious and very. Now that ndimukulu, I can say, I was a bit of a bastard. I was not a nalimuzibu. So I think my mother was like, this is tasoboka one. Agende. Not because tanjagala or anything, but I didn't fit into these school systems because nze manyi kwesomesa. Tekitegeza nti ate okusomesa kibi, because I've learned from other people, but I can't learn in a normal school. So nze amasomero galinga they are just wrong.
Anti obuzibu amasomero gaffe galinga kuchikwate, you can't question it, you can't,
one size fits all.
Yeah, you can't reason, you can't
teri kubuuza kino
kwata bino obireproducing
bagamba John Speak discovered the river Nile. Naye tewaliwo balala abaali bagiraba
yagiraba. But so what time what part of your when in your life did you leave? Did you finish like school here? Like
no, I didn't. So it was the lower part of like secondary. Then I moved. I don't want to be too detailed, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
So in the lower part of secondary, I moved, and so for the better part of my life from then on, I was in the UK, not here.
Where did you come back?
Did you ask when or why?
Why?
Oh, why? That was not, I didn't really come back. I kind of like, I came to kind of like share certain things. One time I saw a small video of Maurice Kiria or someone sent it to me by email because that was not before YouTube or something. So someone sent me a video and someone with whom I had been discussing that I would like to start a school, an art school, not a music school, an art school. So that means like
anything art.
Anything art.
From film,
even
drawing,
word, photography, music, because these things have a synergy. But I was like, naikati Uganda, do people even value these things? You know, so I'd had those conversations with someone. So he sends me this clip, as in saying, you are saying that, you know, in Uganda, no one values this. Now, look at this young guy is doing this. And are you seriously saying you don't like this? So I don't know what song it was, but he was playing live just with his guitar.
Must have been Misuba.
I don't know what it was. I can't remember what it was. But I liked him. And so I communicated with him. And it also made me think, can you know Uganda, what is there? Like you're going to visit and do some things. So I started doing small films with some people and working with some people like a lady called Saranda Gide, Chila, and then of course Maurice Kiria. But I was not intending to like move back here. And then my mom got very ill. So then I was with, not that I was there to be with her but it's kind of like, it was like one thing after the other. And then also she passed. And so all those things.
There were pieces.
Yeah, gata. Then I find myself like here. I'm here and I feel like that I can contribute more. And I don't want to make it feel like philanthropy, but like my life tends
it's
to
more
have more meaning.
Yeah,
to be more meaningful here.
Are you happy to be here in Uganda?
Happy is an old word to use for me because I'm generally
should I say joy then or peaceful?
Fulfillment.
Fulfillment. Yeah.
I think I'm more fulfilled here.
Okay.
Than I would be in the UK because there's a rat race in the UK and
I
also
know.
there are less things there are less things that I can do to a useful degree because being that it's a more a more advanced world and whatever, there are more people who can do what I do.
I know what you mean.
And that doesn't mean that I can't be useful, but I can't be as useful there as I am here. So, in our lives, we need meaning. We need to do things that
just
appear to have value.
Oina chowudiranga, it's more than money, and that makes you fulfilled. Like I know you played a big role Maurice Kiria's career. I used to see you a lot with Maurice. he also says it, you know, you played a big role.
Go on, make it is a guitar.
No, you see, people like that, as with all talented people and driven people, they make their journey, but along the way, it doesn't matter how good you are. To you know, people along the way.
That's
and those people are just like, they're not like the cogs that you dispense after you're done, but it's just that our journeys have different aid along the way. So I think I was one of those aids.
Part of your journey, Wesanganga. Ate nemwesanganga muli compatible, and him noticing that, I can learn a lot from this guy. His guidance and mentorship. Now we joke on too.
Yes,
that's a good thing, and it's chakabi nnyo nawe okubeera in a position oba okuwuliriza the universe nti omanyi. Just what you've said, that you know you can be much more valuable here than there. Katecha film chochingirira muwa. Did you learn filmmaking from the UK as well?
You know, Musoma in a very deep way. So I've got like 2 degrees that are associated with film studies and also digital media and even programming, Kwatagana, with things to do with graphics. So
yeah.
I rarely no nsajja
just kale okay tewaliwo busobozi nakwezo
naye omanyi ebintu ebyo ne bibiba lots of times wesanga nti kati nze you may do those things naye nga ate you've learned most of that content elsewhere, and even people go and do people go and do degrees and stuff like that, but they get out bamanyi kitono ku field yeyo. I'm not undermining any degree for that matter.
Naye manyi nti mbeera awo ne ngamba omanyi nti abaana bange bajja kubuuza, how was your graduation? Then I have to tell them, no, I've never graduated. Well, so where did you get all this money?
Obo yize ebintu.
You know what I mean?
Obo yize ebintu along the way. This is why it.
I think it's a mind thing.
Even now, mpulira bubinti mbirese because I never. Like, that's why people don't know wanting manyicho or manich. Like, I very rarely
but
mention.
Guess what? Wesanganga in life, either you find yourself that you have to apply some of that. Like when we were working on Rolex, by the way, for those of you who don't know, he scored part of Rolex, and I saw it was very, very easy for you. Like I didn't know that you had studied film and you're a filmmaker. Naye kugamanga. The conversation was very, very easy. You were coming up with ideas. I want to create something that has that feel of a bit of a sinister and You know, so much as you might not be practicing or in the field, either way sanganga. Know, I think sometimes. Mwana jaja God atwisa mbintu nga when you connect the dots they make sense.
Very true.
Naenga sometimes kali na ngira bwenti ni ati niwesanga in a situation nga you need those skills.
Exactly.
So it's a good thing that you
and with film it goes back a long way. You have to understand, like, film is one of the most expansive and most inclusive in terms of like using the different art forms.
Because there's photography, there is music, there is whatever,
painting, carpentry, going back. So everything is involved, like every artistic thing that you
and it's the most collaborative.
Exactly.
Fashion.
So kati najagala nnyo from when I was a kid, like again going back to those useless SST lessons. Like when I was in Nakasero, there was a back window baliasa and all that kind of stuff. So after the roll call, I'll just like skip out of that window. Zenengenda, and I would go to this place. It's now called it's that Ebony's place. What's it called? It's a theater Labonita.
Labonita.
But it was a cinema then. It was called Nita Cinema. And I would go and watch a movie called The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
And the Ugly.
Yeah, by Sergio Leone. And he had this great music in there by a guy called Ennio Morricone. And obviously it had Clint Eastwood. Yeah. Brilliant music. And then the expansive thing of it, so natula ngamba, I want to do this in some shape or form, either the music or I want to be the person who creates those images. I gotta be, how do you do this? And I kept watching that thing over and over. Then befriending even the projectionist. So, ngansobola okugenda eri waggulu nembeera ne projectionist nendaba engeri gye baloopingamu akantu while I'm in the uniform. You know? And then I would finish, go back to the school, and anti balina okulaba nti ovaawo somewhere. Yeah.
Okisegeera kakati and then the music before you left, still you said most of it you were self-taught. Did that start from here or in the UK?
It started from here, but I didn't know it had started. There was a neighbor of ours called Mwami Magoba. He even has a road named after him, called Magoba Road or something. Muyenga or Yambuka from Kabalagala. There's a road called Magoba Lane. Now it goes all the way to his house. That guy was our neighbor. So we lived in that area, but we were the Nakubaka area, so to speak. I don't want to use that word in a derogatory term, but Chentegeza, really, Babinojo, like very rich people. And but those guys, they were very welcoming, and they had a piano there. Kati, the Muchala Magoba would allow me to mess around with the piano, and I found that I could recreate what I heard in church, Itsugu, St. Stephen's, and so I could recreate what I would hear at the church on their piano. Like you just find the notes and kind of like shape it and recreate some of those things. I was like, or try to make up music that was matching those sounds that you're hearing in your head. And so that was self-teaching in a form, but without me knowing that that's what's going on.
Yeah.
And also like, the very predictable thing, like a lot of us have learned music in church, knowingly or unknowingly. So for me, it was also in church hearing the people, even though I was not allowed in the grown-ups choir, but if you observe when they're preparing, hear them correcting the other person or the other, and then you're hearing how the voices are layered. So I learned a lot about harmony and just watching and listening to church people. That's why I really wanted, we talked about I wanted to come with one of my interns here, because when you're watching other people do stuff, you learn a lot.
It's the best way of learning.
Then perhaps you would learn from a teacher. The teacher can direct you, or it can direct your learning, but can't actually make you learn stuff. There's a difference.
Okay, I get what you mean.
Yeah.
So can you tell us some of the, let's say, productions that you've worked on, whether it's movies or musicals or events or shows or and even also maybe albums that you have produced?
That's a tough one.
I know. It must be.
Actually, it runs out of your head on the.
Now you're at risk. What are you getting? What are you getting?
Yeah. But I can mention some artists perhaps that people might be familiar with, or viewers of this podcast might be familiar with. Of course, I already mentioned Maurice Kiria, Sheila, Rachel Magola. I've even worked on something by Afrigo, but they don't know that I worked on it because I did the. This is how it kind of like Indopa age, which I won't say, but also how long I've been in the game. I worked on the demo for music. What? But even Afrigo doesn't know that I worked on that demo. So, I did a demo with a guy called I've forgotten his name.
Tony Sengo?
No. He's the brother to their manager.
A brother to
Wasula.
Wasula.
Yeah, so he's also Wasula. He's called Eddie Wasula. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a kid then, but yeah.
Where in Uganda?
No, that was in the UK.
In the UK.
Yeah.
Sarah Ndagire.
There are many. I don't know. Like.
I don't. What's Sheila up to?
Even did something.
New Day.
New Day.
And it's so surprising how we ended up working together. I don't think it was it really planned.
I don't think so, because I'd even forgotten I did it until I came to your place. Yet I had the record.
Yeah.
But actually I didn't know I was on the record. So I'd gone to the previous venue you had where the studio was in Yenga to do something else.
Yeah.
And then he reminded me that I played on the record. Because I was like,
oh man, my album, I was blessed to have
tons of talented people.
and the timing, like him ending up on the album, like I said, no, but also around the same time, I don't know if you remember, I was part of your students.
Oh yeah,
when you did the Bayimba. Was it like a workshop?
Yes.
I really had a great time
that was
when we
lovely.
were doing that. I learned a lot of things. And then the other guys that attended the workshop, they're like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, yo, nangenze kuyiga. A lot of people think that musically, ndiwa, but I'm blessed to have a musical ear. But then I struggle. I still struggle. Like I might play something and might not know. Oh, yo, could be diminishing. Nenga just can sounding the bulungi. You know.
Nenga. There's no problem with that. That's why I was saying that in some cases, to get into so maybe into to solidify that which we already know.
Nenga.
And it's better that way sometimes. Or like you get a lot of
this is why.
And it's chikola sense.
Nenga atene ekituufu kiri nti even myself at this point nkyalina ebyokuyiga. We can never stop learning because it's like in fact the day musician says or any person for that matter says that ayize kiweddeyo, that's the end of them as a creative. What are you because there's a lot for us to learn and to be able to improve upon, and in sometimes or into not what you would call maybe a plateau, but that plateau is just for you and it's only temporary. But after a while you can improve yet. In fact, one time Nainako student, I tell this story a lot, so some of my students will hear it and be not there again. But I had a student. He was an Australian guy, and he was a guitar student. So Namsomesa up to a certain point, and the guy really adored and ngantwala bwat like alava and chakabi. He would turn up at my performances, and so one time he invites me to one of his shows that come and have a look at my band. I'm really excited, and so I turn up at the show. Ebintu byakubanga sibimanyi nga simanyi jayita whatever is doing. Now when I went backstage to say that that was an amazing show nainga alaba banga gamba come on yenga ndaba what, so someone can even see you and hold you in that light. Nenga to a lot to learn,
and but that can be very dangerous, because a lot of people, when they get to that sport, when you feel like everyone around you thinks you're great, it kind of throws you into a very complacent position where you're like, you always have to challenge yourself, be like, Don't be listening to that. You still have to go even higher than that.
No, but sometimes it might lead you nobanga wait here to come out and say hey, banange simanyi nnyo. Like I remember my very first time when I met Nelson. The man started talking about figures when he was explaining about EQs and bichi. Oh, what do you use bichi?
Katika kwenda
Mugamba sebo.
I use presets.
Nze nteka sulako obusuuzi wali ka preset mu Logic ne tuyitawo. But also nange nekinyongera okumpushinga nti man.
But you see how the world works here. You've done some of the biggest records in the country. You know what I mean?
Naye kakati ono musajja yeye yali amanyi. Ndemowe.
Ola tuchogerako nnyo wano ne Benon nti position yeyo omuntu yenayina ino jekinsa. For example in Uganda kati ngaba abayimbi ngaba mainstream. Abamu aye abamanyi nti kasita nkuba lugogo nenjijuza. That's it. Tasobola kulowooza kati njagala O2 oba njagala Wembley oba njagala simanya like yabamanyi nti otuuka awo the exceeding oweri kyekintu Michael Jackson kyalina ng'atakuta naye nga niwe aba akoze ekintu ekyakabi abeera agamba naye tetusobola kusukako wano kitegeera like preparation bamuleetanga mu production za shows nebamugamba kati ogenda kuva wano stage egenda kukola wait ate kati yenga babuza kaniyeka tesobola kusukakaawo like sisobola banjagala mbeere nga ali very yalinga very curious
from our professor's point of view. Nandiagade okumanya what first of all, what do you think about the status quo yomuziki with we made it there? What should be done? Just give me.
Even to be naivety, like especially a question like that has to be put into context of jetuvudde jemvudde waffe. You have to, when you consider how things were, like say 15 years ago, our industry has actually moved like great strides because to together what needs to like what it takes to be a certain thing. It's just that what we lack is the drive to do what it requires to reach for that excellence. So tulimu ng'ekigambo kyewakozesa that complacency of getting comfortable. Kati waliwo, I was reading a certain article someone sent me that, oh, look at this review of something I'd been involved with. And ngabantadeko ebigambo which I had to ebinene, sage, genius, what. So these words, yes, we can be good at what we're doing, but tukasuka nnyo massive praise on things, and that's not a bad thing kuba tulina okwezzaamu amaanyi or whatever. However, it cripples some
it
of
affects
us. So you find that the industry actually stagnates in some cases because people feel batukiriza. Kati that is our biggest weakness. It's not even knowing what we need to do, but it's just getting comfortable with things. And in industry needs katiramu in that sense. And then
for example, nze kati nze njagala nnyo abayimbi abo bayita ba big three, like nze mbaagala ng'omuntu, naye abayimbi abato beepimira awo ye abamanyi nti kasita ntuuka Chameleone we yatuuka
kiwedde.
I don't need to do better than that, which I feel like is a very dangerous way to move as an industry. People should be able to be like, yeah, he's good. He needs all the flowers in the world that we can give him. Even up to now, he still does stuff that I enjoy. But
we can do a
much
lot more.
better. Much together, we can push. There's another country in Africa which I don't want to mention who I think are doing something like that. But you guy bali nenjala bagana naye bali bagaye bakikola batya bakisobola kikola. You know what I mean? So
but and then we also have the other issue of we are not capitalizing on the strength that different people have. Yeah, it's true. Most of us, because of the way that we ingide into the business, because most of us to ingide in isolation.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we can tend to hold on to that isolation. Akanyama kange. Yeah. So whereas like I do work, and when I finish Olusi, even momanyi for many years you've been doing this stuff, I sometimes send it to different people. For a
different perspective.
Different perspective. Or can you mix this for me? Maybe like yesterday I was discussing with someone because there was a movie. It was called Kafako. I wrote the score for it, and and I know how to also do sound stuff for movies and stuff, but the environment in which I was working was inappropriate for that. So someone was floating the idea that music, sound, but you have to understand what the limitations are. Yes, but is my environment appropriate for this? So I was like, because in the city set up properly at the moment, movie. You get. So when I was discussing that with this gentleman yesterday, he was like, like mu industry moving away, but why should it be that way? Are we saying we all have everything that is required? That's why you find now several producers. So when your works are so varied as they are, you need all these different people. You need all the different teams and stuff.
Okay, so you're saying we are not as collaborative and partnerships zino tetunaba kutandika kumanya kuzikozesa bulungi.
To exploit them, even knowing katintinga mu industry katuveku production side, but like just artists themselves. A lot of musicians have varied a variety of skills. Just Sangolinga, actually, they're a fashion designer and a good one, as well as doing good music or something like that. Naingo muntrasola gamanti onokamuwe no contract for this because maybe they're competing with them artistically on the music side. Whereas musoloko if I take, for example, and I'm not doing like a shout out of her business, but let's say she pharmacist just because she came in my mind. She's a fashion designer for ladies stuff, but her music is also beautiful. You know what I mean? Kati omuntu okutegeera those balances that you can collaborate on other things that are artistic that still feed. You remember, we never into that synergy. So,
okay. That's awesome. What are you working on right now?
Right now, I'm working on
that you're allowed to talk about.
I'm allowed to talk. Okay. Kuchange, I'm going to release a series of volumes of soundtracks because I've written for many movies, but most times people are unaware, and sometimes that music always tefuluma. It's about music mulungi naye mu movie are serving a different purpose. It's a supportive role.
Baba kukiriza mufulumia separately.
I usually do contracts to that level.
Yes, sir.
Unless the payments are such that
it's a one-time thing.
But let's
that's the right word.
Exactly. Tukujemu. Naye so far mu sente zaffe wano, not in any derogatory way, tewannabaawo sente zituukamu eyo level enzijamu, to be honest. But then n'omuntu nga gwe woba okola bino ebintu, omuntu omuwa, you have to leave that leeway, let the movie live. I can't, for example, since I'm releasing of movies I'm doing now, did last year, unless I've had a word with the people involved. So nkwata bidi ebyayitako emyaka gitambuddemu, so their movie has had time to do the circuits and everything, that kind of thing. So I'm going to have those volumes. There are like 5 volumes that will be released. It's a lot of music, and then I'm also working on music charts for a musical that we did together with a playwright called Adong Judith. We already it was already done in Nairobi, as staged in Nairobi, but we're trying to see that it can be staged elsewhere, like maybe in the US or something. So I'm working on the music charts and stuff, and it's a very laborious job. So that is something else I'm working on, and I'm also scoring some people's films which I can't yet talk about.
Where is your studio?
It's in Kansanga.
Hey,
How many albums do you have?
Of mine, not because nti nyingi nnyo, but waliwo ezimu eziri, like I was on I got a little label deal somewhere, and then ate nejjamu obuzibuzibu, so waliwo a legal element. Legal element naye kati wemambala ziri roughly 10 or 12 thereabouts.
Would you say that because olaba art obakalefa abadongo usually tufuna nnyo obuzibu, first of all understanding and appreciating the business side of things, and taking care of that side of business. Do you think this is very stupid. I know you are very vast with the business side of music. Just shed some light on how important it is for musicians out
make
there
money.
to having that balance of both the art and the music, and when should you sacrifice the art, when should you even sacrifice the art for the business, or the other way around?
I think ekyo tekiriko any way about it, like the words are music business, but we are forgetting the second part of the phrase most of the time. So yes, you can work on the music to be the best it can, and it can be, but it has to be put into a context because it has to be consumed.
Did you get that? Like it has to be, it has to be consumed. You're not doing it for yourself. That's powerful.
Like we don't do music for just only for ourselves in the bedroom. Actually, that's like we have. Let's remember, music is divine. If something is divine. If something is divine, actually sichicho. It's for others. You guys.
No. That's deep.
And I have beef with a few musicians who are even friends of mine, and in fact there's one, I'm not going to mention him because I don't want to put him on the spot. We had a bit of a word just last Friday. I was telling him, you have to write, and there are a lot of people who, I'm sure they're musicians who know manino kubasindikira just a text that simusindikide for ages, like why aren't you writing? And what I mean with that, it doesn't mean toandika. Nze sibiwulira. Ate okubiwulira kitegeeza nti okansindikira. Nkawulire mu bantu because it's not yours. Music is truly supposed to be into, we are vessels to get it out there for others to consume, to enrich their lives, to
make people's lives better,
get them, like it has those healing powers to teach, to store history. It has to predict. So it has a lot of things that are imbued in it. What means kugamba nti kati uli mugezi nnyo wayiza zino zikode biki zibaddewo before you were there.
Please pause. I need you to say that stuff again. 2, there's healing, there's prediction, there's storing history. Ngenyimba z'abaana abato bazibayigiriza, it was a generational thing. That's what you mean.
Yes.
Then the other one you said was what?
It has to teach.
Okay, to teach.
It has to teach, and also it's a custodian of culture. Kuba kati wotwala someone like Phile Lutaya, Phile Bongole Lutaya. The guys like Waseba Duka, people like Kadongo, guys like what was that guy Walumbe Zaya?
Kafero.
Yeah, it's a crime not to remember his name, but Kafero. And then but even as we were talking previously, just about Mose Radio, yeah, it's like even with the lack of that person's presence, they're extremely present with the music and sound that they made, and that sound is a custodian of culture because tutegeera roughly how the early 90s and late 80s were.
Benon kano kebasalamu kapati.
Matix.
Kano kapati.
Yeah. So
the power of music.
Yeah. So it has a lot of those things, but what going back to the original question why I was talking about this, since bya abantu abo. So when you're doing it, yeah, you can't just do it ngobinga byekolera. And if you
have to work, by the way, Benon, this has changed my perspective of like when you, in the back of your mind, you know, Sibyang, it's not me, I'm just being used as a vessel.
Yeah. So to organize it, prepare it, package it for consumption by others. And that's not to demean the artistic element, yeah, and zinalinga of that kind, blah blah blah. That's how I was. But most of the work that I did in that fashion is not consumable. Do you know what I mean? And I found that the work that is actually consumable is work that I made sure bituuka mu bantu nga nina process gye nkitaddemu actually that is divorced from the work. That is a business part.
Yeah.
Kibatuuseeko kitya kifaanana kitya
a product.
Does it fit the zeitgeist, like how people are thinking at the moment? Or can it challenge the zeitgeist? Nti kati abantu endowooza yaabwe ennaku zino naye I want to challenge it. Yes, kati kisobola okuba kyanjawulo kipya, but it's considering ekiriwo kyeki. So you can't just go nkola kipya just because nze ndi different, I'm radical. I think that is one of our problems. And one there's a student who used to argue with me nze ndeta kipya. We can't. You can't.
Speaking of which, we haven't talked about your teaching, because you also teach. Yeah. What that school that you teach at? What's it called?
African.
And how do people apply?
Yeah. So that's the Africa Institute of Music.
AIM.
And there are many programs that go on there, and they teach in a holistic fashion, meaning they do all the various aspects of music, playing instruments, reading, writing, composition, and and then like I handle the production department. So I devised a program for it's a degree program now that is for sound engineering and music production, and basically someone needs to have good English, good mathematics, because we may be into sound engineering. It has a lot of these aspects, but they have to have a musical background. So in some cases, omuntu ayinza oba talina the papers ezandi muyingiza in those things, but then now we have like a certificate program omuntu asooka n'akola ebintu ebinajjayo that musicality, that aspect of being able to explain things, not nti owandiika nnyo, but like you have to be able, it's good within our industry now to be able to explain what you do, because of we're working in very varied systems now. Now this is a podcast and everything, the different skill sets that get around to getting this going, ziri nyingi. You're a producer, you're a musician, but you have to present. That's a totally different skill. Like even if you're a performer, to perform and to present ideas, kintu kyanjawulo.
Producer wange bamitoze atayagala njogere. Ashitege kasera weranga abansitiki.
Oyogera nnyo.
But how do people apply?
Basically, like during what would be the summer period, actually around now, between now and September, they would actually go onto the website, get the contacts of the Africa Institute of Music, and then be able to...
I want to ask you, we've run out of time, but I want to ask you the last question. How does your social life affect your work? Is it family? I don't know. I don't want to know
Yeah.
if you have a wife or children or what. But like, how does that affect?
And is it balanced?
Does it inspire you? Does
Yeah.
it? Yeah.
Does it just bring tension?
Yeah. Now, the unfortunate thing is that my work, unfortunately, affects the social life. And some of us find it, I'm the kind of person who finds it very, very hard, but it's something I have to work on to get to do a
You're a
balance.
workaholic, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Yes,
And
studio rat.
He's in studio, I know kuba gigi,
yeah.
teach.
And in some cases, some of engeri gye oba omuntu gye wakulamu ebiri bye n'ademagamba, like where you always like I'm so used to solitude. Like I deliver a lot of things in solitude, but I've also just talked about that nacho chibi. Kati si chibi only in work that you need to collaborate with others, but ate chibi nnyo in socially for family.
Chibiga bakusiba mu komera ne bakuteeka mu solitary.
Kitegeera.
Yeah.
Much as that work can move a lot in those ways, or at least I can come up with solutions to things easier in that format.
Some of us find a lot of peace in solitude.
Exactly. Kati enyambako to find solutions, then nendyoka mbeera mu bantu.
But what do you do for fun?
For fun,
do you play soccer? Do you go to the movies? Do you?
I'm a movies guy.
But that's
right
still
now.
work for you.
It's kind of, but ekintu kye nakolanga used to be capoeira. Capoeira and a lot of cycling. The unfortunate thing, I can't find many capoeiristas like in Uganda. I had found a group of capoeiristas. It's that Brazilian art of, like, for those who don't know, it's a Brazilian martial art form that has a little bit of
that's
dancing.
Music playing.
Yeah.
I think I've seen people
it's both dancing
It's like
and martial arts.
Yeah.
So that used to be quite my thing. It still is in my head, but I don't have enough people. There are no people to actually practice this with, because it's not. Now that's not a solitary kind of exercise.
Yeah, it's a social thing.
So it's a social thing. But other than that, it's just really movies or work of like I have a problem that. If I'm not engaging like this,
maybe
I'm mpulira
by the way,
noise nyingi mu mutwe.
okunyumya is a social activity.
Yeah.
Maybe it could be one of your Everybody give it up for Mr. Kasozi one more time. We're so glad to have you. And thank you very much for those words of wisdom and just sharing your experience with us. I know it's going to be very inspirational to so many people. And so as we usually end the show with trivia questions, but please give us direct answers. No thinking, no
Lord.
explaining.
Yeah.
And you're free to interpret the question the way you want.
The way I want.
And then you give your own answer. Yeah. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, here we go. Performing or producing?
Performing.
Music or film?
Film.
Wow, that's interesting.
Because it incorporates music.
Don't explain. Live or semi-live?
Live.
Piano or guitar?
Piano.
Teaching or learning?
Learning.
Dancing or singing?
Dancing.
What? Number system over solfa notation?
Number.
Okay. That's a geeky one. For those who understand it know what that means. What's your best brand of guitars?
That's a tough one. Yamaha.
Okay. I thought you were going to say Fender.
No.
Best keyboard brand?
Kog.
You're like someone else that I know. Best versatile mic, if you had to have one microphone.
Yikes.
To record.
Versatile. I'm gonna go with a very. That's a tough one. I can't choose.
No, you have to choose.
You have to.
I have to choose. C414.
That's a telephone. What's
414 is an AKG.
AKG. Okay. Okay. The last one. What's your advice to those who are coming after you?
Yeah. Be sure to learn from not only your heroes, but from their heroes.
Oh.
So
actually, the last one is who is your number one inspiration?
You'll find this funny, but it's Isaac Newton.
Oh my God.
This one is so weird. Okay, I want to add one. In the box or outside the box?
There's no box.
Guys, Kasozi, everybody, please don't forget to subscribe, like, share. What else? What have I forgotten? Comment. Thank you very much. We'll see you on the next one, ladies and gentlemen, and have fun. This is the Master Bus.
Yeah, man.
Take care. We're out. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, man.
Yeah.
The beat is heavy.